Greetings, everyone. Lou here from GreenSea, the project manager for Special Operations Technologies. Today, we're going to cover part 2 of how to georeference imagery. The first video, you saw that we used a format called QLANT Cart GT. You guys see it right here. This is what generally looks like. This is really, really good, especially when you start talking that you need a chart or satellite imagery. You have no nautical chart and you're going from a lot of ocean, not a lot of points to reference on land, into another area. So that's if you were going to do that kind of mission where you just wanted, maybe there was channel markers, specific little islands, but nothing really you can correlate off of, QLANT is going to be your go-to. Now for QGIS is going to be the new one that we're going to talk about. For this one, you definitely need to be operating in a harbor, have some nearby islands where you can pin your target area to known points, because you're going to do a lot of associating your imagery with what's on QGIS's formatted imagery. And you're going to try to overlay that. Now you don't have to use Google Earth for this one. You can actually use a fishing chart, a picture of a fishing pamphlet, upload it JPEG, and you'll be able to drop it in there. You can use whatever imagery you want. So that's one of the good conveniences, the pros and cons of QGIS. This is one of the biggest pros that we have, is that you really can just take a pamphlet, a fishing picture charts, and overlay that onto a piece of imagery and have it georeferenced for you. To operate the RNAV, you do not need georeferenced imagery. All you need is really a lat long or MGRS, and you can still plot your waypoints. However, it does enhance the visual acuity of the RNAV. It gives a warm and fuzzy to the divers, as we've talked about. So here, there's two things you're going to need for this one. For this one, we're going to use Google Earth Pro. You do need the desktop version, and then you're also going to need QGIS software that we use. As you see, I have both of them. So first thing we're going to do, and they are both free. So first thing we do, I'm going to open Google Earth Pro. And from here, I'm going to pick where my target area is going to be. So let's say I'm going to use Hampstead, North Carolina. So like we talked about, when you're using this for georeferencing purposes, you just have to be aware that if you're, a great example is if your mission is here, let's say you know that there's a ship docked or moored and you're going to navigate to it. This is all you have. This QGIS would not work in this, because if you're not pinning the back end of it, it's going to become blurred or obscured, because it's just pretty much like a flapping sheet in the wind. And that's one of the negatives to QGIS. However, if you have good pieces of land where you can actually associate hard fixed points, now remember that you don't want to pick places close to the beach, like a little shoal or something like that, because high tide, low tide, the pieces of imagery may not correlate. So for this specific piece, I'm just going to use a quick neighborhood, as you guys see here, just so we have a general reference of what it's going to look like here. So we're gonna use this general area right here. All right. So from here, what I'm going to do is we're going to adjust our settings. You can do File, do Save, and you save image. It's going to bring up this little settings box right before you save it. So for map options, I don't need all the title and description, the legend, the scale, the compass. I don't need those things for this piece of imagery. I just want a clean canvas to work with. Cool, I'm gonna click off. For resolution, I want it max resolution. And I also want to make sure that my piece of imagery is georeferenced properly. So I want to make sure that I'm in view of everything that I'm going to need. So I'm going to just try to use this general area right here, as you guys see, for a georeference piece of work. So from here, I'm going to hit Save Image. And we're going to call this Hampstead Land View. You can label it whatever you want. So here we're going to save it. And all that's doing is giving us a starting piece to work with. So we're saying we can't find a piece of imagery, you go to Google Earth. It's one of the quickest methods to do. Google Earth, there are other applications out there. Like I said, you can use a picture as long as you can correlate it to the actual QGIS format. So it's going to save. From there, we won't need this anymore. Now I'm going to open QGIS. I don't know if there is an updated version, but this is the version that I've been using. So I'm just going to double click on that. All right. So first we're going to need to add Google Maps in the underlay. So we have something pretty much a canvas, a georeferencing canvas to work with. We're going to use it to match up where your map belongs. These are actually called XYZ tiles, and I have this sort of hidden because I have some already that I've already pre-pulled and pre-did, but I'm going to cover in case you don't have that, or in case you just can't see that. So from here, if you don't see that, you can actually go to, if you don't see this bar right here, you can go to View, go to Panels. From here, you can go to Browser. You just want to make sure Browser is clicked on. From that will allow you to see this specific site. So you may need to start your algorithm pull where it's going to say, hey, where you want to pull the maps from or the tiles from. So now I'm going to right click on XYZ tiles. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. I'm going to go New Connection. So in New Connection, this is pretty much going to say, hey, where do we want to pull the actual database from? If you have a known location that's open source, you probably would be able to do it. But for me, and you guys can probably use Esri.worldimagery. Okay, so now this is going to be the unique part. So if you guys stay with me. So now, if you guys see what I'm going to type in for its actual, where it's actually going to pull from, https://server.arcgisonline.com/arcgis. We're saying, hey, that's where we want to pull from, capital ArcGIS /rest services /world_imagery /map server /tile /curly bracket. We type Z, close it, Y, and X. All right. I'm just going to hold there for a second so you guys can see what the actual URL is going to be. So from here, just configuration, there's no authentication. As you guys see it. Sorry. And then just hit OK. You see min max, you just want to make sure it's okay. Okay, cool. So from here, it's pretty much going to pull, it's going to pull here. As you guys see, we have 2 of them now. So I'm just going to remove one of them because I don't need to. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop it, drag it down. Esri World Imagery is going to start pulling up. But with that, you can also get, I also got the URL for Google Maps. But this mountains URL is one of the big ones that you're going to want to use here, along with OpenStreetMap. So OpenStreetMap generally comes with the software, and I'm going to show you what it actually looks like. So OpenStreetMap looks just like it sounds. It is an open street view. It's not really imagery per se. So I'm just going to zoom in on our target area that we took a cool picture of. So if you guys look, this is the same area that we were at when we actually did the imagery. But it's a good reference if you have nothing else. But if I click that off and I go to mountain view, it's very similar to Google Earth. I don't know how often they update it, but as you guys can see, it's going to be very, very close. So once we're happy with that, you're zoomed in on your area and you got what you're looking for. We're going to be using this kind of overlay, and you're able to swap back and forth between mountain and street view. But here we're going to go to raster. I'm going to go to georeferencer. So this is going to be our overall canvas of what we're going to be using to actually make our piece of imagery. So in order for us first to pull up our imagery, I'm going to hit this little checkboard. And then from here, I'm going to look for that imagery. So we said we're going to use land view. All right, so there's my land view. So if you guys can see it. Remember, I'm going to say that, hey, this is try to use this general area to make a georeference. So once we have this, all we're going to do with this piece of imagery, we're going to pretty much pull and stretch it onto the QGIS software. That mountain view or that street map view, we're going to pull and stretch, and we're going to try to overlay that on top. And as we overlay it on top, if it's done correctly, it will be georeferenced with coordinates now. It doesn't, like we said, it doesn't have to be Google Earth. It doesn't have to be anything. But from here, we're going to So once we have this, I'm going to try to find a good referencing point of my target area. So because this requires a minimum of 10 points to do. So what you want to do is you're going to just click on a point, specific point that you can find on the other piece of imagery. So I don't necessarily go for the middle of the intersection. I go for like the corner of the intersection. So if you guys see, if I draw a straight line, yep, there's the sidewalk. Cool. So if you know the coordinates for that specific area, you can actually make a card, go back and forth Google Earth and it'll do it for you. But since we don't have that and it's a lot quicker, I'm going to do map from canvas. And so this is our canvas that we were using. So if you guys look at it, this is the QGIS software. This is the intersection that we were looking at, and I'm just going to click here. I'm going to drop a pin. All right, so now it's going to say, hey, these are the easting, these are the northing. Don't click OK. And when you do that, it's going to drop this little red dot saying, hey, that you georeferenced this one point, and then you'll see it up here. If you realize that you clicked on the wrong spot, you can always click on it, you can delete it, or you can disable it and not use it for your format. So I'm just going to keep doing this in general areas that I know are going to be on that map. So I'm going to like another intersection, map from canvas, and you're still able to zoom in, zoom out. So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna pick this little driveway right here. As soon as it gets into the street. If you wanted to, you can actually pick a center. If you have nothing left and you have a pond, you can pick the center of the pond. I'm just going to show you what it looked like. It's a lot less precise, a lot less accurate. I'm going to pick the center of the pond. As you guys see, like I'm trying to figure out where the center would be because all I have is a little crosshair to pick it. So there may be a little bit of error in it, but I'm just going to drop a few more here. We'll do this cool little intersection. I'm going to do the west side of that intersection. Okay, I'll pick this little intersection here. And like I said, you want to try to be as accurate as possible. I'm just speeding up for sake's time. I'm going to zoom in. You can pick a house. So I'm going to pick the corner of this building, map from canvas. Okay, so if you guys saw, I actually picked the wrong spot. Great example, but I can just hit delete. So I'm going to reach it. I didn't like it because it seems like the building had changed, which is common that you'll find. You can do the edges of docks. It's always dependent on when the imagery was taken and whether there's been renovations on it. So map from canvas. And if you need to grab, grab something, you can just grab. So I'm going to cancel. But if you need to grab, you can just grab. You can grab and pull as you see fit, and then click on this little yellow icon, and you'll be able to do it. So let's continue working it. So here's our little target area. Let's pick this little dock right here. As you guys see, like, okay, I don't have the little house. It's not a good. Yep. So I don't have the little house. Oh, I do right there. Okay. And there is no exact distance of how far they should be apart, but just know, like, hey, I'm trying to pin this specific area or this specific area. So you just want all the center. So this center, this is going to be a lot more accurate than the stuff over here, which is one of the biggest issues that we have. So I'm gonna click the center of this. Is that areas that are not pinned or that don't have any pins, generally it'll become skewed. I'm just going to hit OK. And you can just keep, I'm just going to keep dropping them. Even though I said you want to be exact, I'm just going to keep trying to drop them, just try to speed this up a little bit for you guys. So map from canvas, yep. I can see like, yep, I'm gonna pick this circle and I'm probably gonna pick that circle. So here we go, try to get as close as possible. But if you can use buildings, known things that you can associate back and forth. All right, I'll pick this intersection. Now remember, when you're doing this, the software is going to be stretching your points to that specific area that you selected. So from here, we're going to say, okay, so I have roughly about 11 points. So really, this is going to be my target area that I'm looking for. These others are bonuses if I can get it in there. But in order for me to get a good exact picture, you're going to want to drop more and more pins. The bigger the area, the more pins you're going to need. So just be aware of that. This is like a 5-mile area, roughly 3 to 5 miles. So I don't want to just drop this area because everything on the borders is going to be a little bit skewed when I go to look at it. So from here, I'm going to hit this little tool button, and it's going to bring up these general settings. Now these are settings that that's recommended to use. I don't know what they mean. I just know from just doing research on the internet, like this is what they picked. So from here, you're going to type. You just want to make sure that you're on polynomial, that you're on land coast. You're on 3857 and WGS 84. There are some other options in there. So from here, on this little thing, I'm going to tell it where I want to save the file. I'm going to cancel again. If you guys look, an output raster. So that's where we're going to say where that file is going to go. So I'm going to say we're going to label it Hampstead Land View. I'm going to hit save. So we're going to save on my desktop, and that's what I'm going to call it. Save. Okay. So you just want to make sure the compression is set. And then we're going to do this load in QGIS when done, because I want to be able to see it. So it's going to do its thing. Okay, from here, you're going to hit play. And you see its indication is going to start pulling and stretching those points that you selected over the actual software. Once this closes out, it's actually be pulled onto the initial software that we used, and you'll be able to have a chance to see it and look and see how accurate you are. You are able to crop certain areas in and out. All right, so now I'm going to minimize this. All right, so if you guys look, Hampstead Landing, so I'm going to turn off mountains. And if you guys look, so that's what we made, and that's our imagery. If you guys see the black, obviously we talked about, because we didn't pin anything over here, it is skewed. But from here, I'm going to zoom in, because I said we're going to use this general area here, and then we're going to try to crop this out. But I'm going to open up Mountain View. All right, so the way we can check it also, we're going to click on the actual imagery that was part of the software. So we're going to click on mountains. I'll turn all the other ones off. I'm going to click on mountains, and then I'm going to go down to properties. From here, it'll be here, and then you can click on transparency. And I'm just going to bump this down a little bit, about halfway, maybe a little less. Hit apply, and then if you guys see, this is a piece of imagery, and then hit OK. So the darker imagery is what we're looking at. As we zoom in, you can sort of see how it's very well done here. But if you guys look over here, because we didn't pin anything over here, how it's sort of like it's the ends, you know, like we said earlier, the flapping sheet. We have the flapping sheet effect. So it is skewed here because we didn't pin anything in over here. So we said this was our area, we pinned everything in the area. If you were to do this, if you needed this large area, pin the four corners, then work your way around as much as possible to get it as exact as possible. But everywhere that you're looking at for, you know, where we dropped our simple target area, it looks pretty good. All right. So now we're going to talk about how to actually crop the actual picture, so we don't have the darker areas or anything like that. All right, so now like we talked about, I'm going to turn off the actual software and I'm going to look at the parts that I actually want. I'm going to zoom in. You guys see, because it's not pinned, there's not georeferenced accurately, it starts to bend, these little black spots, and I don't want that on my imagery. It's not really good. I'm just going to try to pick this general area right here. So from here, we're going to go to raster. We're going to clip raster by extent. I was going to bring up these options here. So we're going to go to clipping extent, and then we're going to say use map, draw on canvas. Sorry, we're going to say draw on canvas. So from here, I'm just going to drag a box, an area that I know I want. So I'm just going to, you know, start on one corner. So there it is. So it's saying I have this file. Where do you want, and then clipped extent, where do you want to pull it, or what do you want to call it? So we're going to save the file. We're going to name, what are we going to name it? We're going to name it Hampstead Land version 2. And you see the formats of saving it, TIFF, we talked about. TIFF and CAP are the two formats that are used to upload software. Here we're going to hit save, run. It's going to give these errors, and you can close. All right, guys. So here's our image that we made. Here is the imagery that we made that was not cropped. You guys see when you open it up, it looks like a normal picture, but you see the black on how it's skewed. So we didn't want that. And then if you open up the other one, this was a little bit more exact of the area, a lot more cleaner, a lot less skewed. But in order to check to make sure, as always, whenever you make an imagery, you just want to make sure that it actually works, that it actually is inputted and it looks good. So I'm just going to open up Workspace as normal. I'm going to import it. And because this is on my desktop, I'm going to find it. So Hampstead Land version 2. It's going to do its compression. Now, guys, remember, if you're ready to push this to your RNAV, once you're happy with it, that this specific file has to be in the STID mission planning folders called charts, because that's where the RNAV is directly looking towards to pull it. But as you guys see, the imagery looks really, really clean. It's not skewed. You can still use it to add waypoint, add waypoint, add waypoint. So it looks like it's another successful chart of this specific area. Like we said, this is really good, especially if you're using harbors. You know, if there's a little intercoastal beach, you can drop pins all around it. But if you're going from in the big water where you're specifically there's nothing around you, maybe a channel marker or two, definitely would use the other process, QLand GT. But this process is a lot cleaner. And if you find out that the other process is not working, even though it's faster, I generally go back to this. It is longer, as you guys saw. And if you guys do drop a pin in the wrong spot, it does skew itself. So then you have to go back and do a little bit of data mining to try to figure out which one it is. Overall, it's a success, guys. As always, please hit me up if you have any questions. And as always, safe diving.